Welcome back everybody to Yoga by Biola. I'm your girl Biola. It feels so good to be back. I've been kind of on a hiatus, kind of trying to figure things out as to, what I want my brand to be and who I want to be in my brand. So I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus, and it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back with my YouTube family. Thank you guys for supporting me and for continuing to watch these videos. I'm really pumped to be back and bring what I have for you this week and for the weeks to come. So I've been getting a lot of questions, and actually I've been watching a lot of my videos and seeing what ones really resonate with you guys. And I noticed that the chakra video, you can find that up here, over here, was one that you guys really had a lot of questions about and just a lot of interest in. And right now, as we're going into fall season here in Seattle, that's a great time to really recalibrate your chakras, right? And to really get understanding as to what each one of them means, and really trying to balance them out. So we're going to be actually focusing on the root chakra today, which is located right underneath the spine. And we're going to do a sequence that's just solely focused on balancing out and recalibrating your root chakra. So the root chakra is actually really focused on, it's really about stability. Stability and, feeling grounded, feeling rooted where you are. And naturally the things that come when you feel like you're rooted and grounded in where you are is you're able to be more patient. You exhibit a lot of loyalty there in that situation. You're able to move forward with the set goals that you want to move forward with. And it also has to do with a lot about sexuality. So if you're noticing that your libido is low, you're not really horny very much lately, you're not in the mood, or maybe you are, maybe your sex drive is a little bit overactive right now, it might be a good opportunity to check in and focus on balancing your root chakra and seeing what's going on there. The color for this area of the body is red. It's really a very bright crimson red. And if that tells you anything about the power associated with this root chakra, that color is pretty emblematic of the force and the power associated with this area of the body and the energy that it holds. So this sequence is an all-level sequence that you can do right in your living room with me, or you can do it outside, outdoors, wherever you feel comfortable. But it's something that will help you find more stability in your life and more grounding. I'm an earth sign, so some people would assume that because I am an earth sign, I constantly feel rooted and grounded. But there's been a lot of times where I haven't been able to move forward with a lot of the goals that I set out for myself, a lot of the things that I wanted to do, because I just felt like there wasn't enough stability going on around me to feel comfortable moving forward in my goals. And if that's you, or if you feel like, you're really trying to be patient with what's coming forward to you, or you want to exercise more patience, that's a great opportunity to find yourself more rooted and grounded in where you are, and find more stability in where you are, so that you feel patient enough to allow what's coming to you to come. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. This is going to be a really short sequence, and I want to go through all of the root chakras, presenting a new video to you once every 2 weeks. I'm trying to commit to that, but the focus is to get through all of the chakras, all 7 of them, and post a new video for each chakra once every 2 weeks, and we're going to be working our way up. So let's get started. You'll need a yoga mat, and I actually like to use just a blanket, because we're going to be on our knees, and my knees can get really sensitive, so I kind of like to add a blanket to pad my knees. If that's you, feel free to grab one. If not, just use your yoga mat and we'll get started. I'll see you guys in a jiffy. Let's do some yoga. So first things first, we're going to come into a tabletop position. 5 fingers rooted into the mat, knees rooted into the mat, 2 fists worth of space in between your knees. You can measure that out. 5 fingers spread wide, creating almost like a little L shape with your index finger and your thumb. And point your index fingers directly in front of you. What that's going to do is it's going to help you to laterally rotate your shoulders, so that your elbows can start to draw back behind you, as opposed to winging out to the left and the right. So creating that L shape, drawing your index finger, your pointer finger straight forward is going to really help with that lateral rotation in the shoulders. And that's what we want to open up the back of the chest. And take a few rounds of breath here. Just allow yourself to get acclimated here. Feel the rooting of this position. Specifically feeling the earth underneath your fingers and underneath your knees and your shins. Just feel that rooting and that grounding there. And we're going to actually start with the feet, because the feet are obviously the things that connect us to the earth, connect us to the ground. So they're our stability. They're our focal point for this practice, or at least the starting point. So I want you to go ahead and just tuck your toes underneath you. And then just walk your hands towards your knees. You're going to draw yourself up. And you're just going to start to press into those toes. We really want to focus on opening up the balls of the feet here and just stretching them out. Naturally on a day-to-day basis, you know, we rarely stretch out the bottoms of our feet and our toes. And so this is a really nice practice to start to expand the movement and the space in between your feet, so that your feet have more expression and more ability to move around. An easier ability to stable you as you walk. Now for some of us, this is going to start to feel uncomfortable. I know for me, this is starting to feel uncomfortable because that's a really deep stretch. And if that's you, just draw your hands forward. Root your hands into the mat. And then continue to draw your hips back towards your heels. And that will allow you to kind of control the pressure or the stretch that you're getting in the toes. I'm going to hold here for a few more rounds of breath, either in this controlled position or standing up. And deep breath in through the nose, exhale out of the mouth. One more of those, please. Deep inhale. Exhale out of the mouth. Go ahead and walk the hands back onto the mat, tabletop position. Untuck the toes one by one. And then walk the hands back towards the knees. You're going to walk the hands all the way back towards the feet or towards the toes. And then with control, you're going to lift up one knee and then the other. Once again, focusing on the feet here. Lengthening and stretching the feet so they have more room to increase your stability. So now we're focusing on the shoelaces of the feet, or the fronts of the feet, specifically the shins and also the ankles, and just more so the front of the toes. And just pedaling out the knees one by one, just stretching out the fronts of the feet. And then if you'd like to, you can draw both knees up at the same time. For some of us, that might be a little bit too intense. So just pedaling one leg at a time, one knee up at a time. One is not better than the other. You get the same results with both. So continue to breathe here. Really focusing on your breathing, being aware of what you're breathing in and how you're breathing. Really trying to focus on taking a lengthened inhalation here, allowing that breath to connect you to your body and for your body to connect you to the ground. So really focusing on that mind-body connection through the use of our breath. One more time here, deep inhale. And deep exhale. Walking the hands back towards tabletop position as you enjoy that feeling of that lengthening and that stretching in the feet that you just created for yourself. You can roll out the ankles a little bit here, lifting up the shins, rolling off the ankles. And then we'll tuck the toes again underneath us. Walk the hands back towards the knees and pluck the knees up off of the ground. You're going to wing the knees out to the left and the right, almost coming into a Bakasana crow here, but you're going to use your down dog hand. So your 5 fingers are going to be spread wide in front of you. And you're going to drop your chin towards your chest here. The heels are going to come together to kiss. And basically we're just opening up here. Further stretching out the heels and the toes. It'll look something like this. I'll turn towards you so you can see me. So my heels are together, kissing. And then my hands are forward here. Knees are spread out, so the left and the right. And a deep inhale here, check in with your knees. Deep exhale out. The knees have to do so much with the stability. One more breath in, deep inhale. And exhale. Walk the hands back in towards the knees. The knees come in to kiss. And you just lower your knees down. You're back in tabletop position. Continue to keep the toes tucked here. With the 5 fingers in front of you, continue to draw your index fingers, your pointer fingers directly out in front of you. Try not to draw them in towards one another. Remember, your elbows are going to wing out. And we want to continue to focus on that lateral rotation in the back of the heart. On the next breath, inhale here. Exhale, glide the hips back and up to downward facing dog. Go ahead and root your feet into the mat here. Pedal out the legs one by one, warming up your calves and your hamstrings. The back of the legs focus so much on stability. If our hamstrings are tight, that's limited mobility in our legs and our body. And it would make sense that if we have limited mobility, it's going to be really hard for us to trust being stable within ourselves. So deep breath in here. And deep breath out. One more of those, please. Deep breath in. And deep breath out. Inhale, that right heel is going to go high towards the heavens. Point the toes down. Heels draw up. And then exhale with control. Step it through, low lunge. You're going to drop your left knee down on your blanket if you decided to use one. And then on the inhale, circle sweep the hands up and over the head. Draw the hands in fists, but release the index fingers, your pointer fingers to draw up towards the heavens. Deep breath in here. And deep breath out. Feel the rooting and the grounding of your knee and your feet in the mat. Feel that stability. One more breath, please. Deep breath in. And exhale, float the hands down alongside the body. On the inhale, just go ahead and bring the hands to the hips. Ooh. Hair's doing funky things. What happens when you have dreads? And I want you to focus on the front of your left hip. So now we're getting closer to that root chakra area, but also going to continue to focus on the back of the legs here and opening up the back body. So you want your right knee to be directly over your right ankle, almost creating a 90-degree angle here. And you want the same hip directly over the left knee, creating a 90-degree angle with your left shin. Hands to hips here. I want you to imagine that there's a wheel in basically where your groin is, and your wheel is drawing up or towards you. So that wheel is going this way. When you imagine that, you're going to basically tuck or draw your groin in towards your chin. Simultaneously, your sacrum is going to draw down. That's going to draw your low belly up and in, and you're basically lengthening out the front of this hip. On the inhale, you're going to glide that hip forward at maybe 2 inches at the most. And you'll see that stretch working on its own, hands to hips here, continuing to open up the front of this hip, which has a lot to do, once again, with that root chakra. It's very vertical, but it also goes out horizontally here as well, within the hip flexors and the hip points and the hip joints. So we want to start to open up the front of this hip once again to increase mobility in the body so that we feel more stable. We feel more stable when we have more room for expression, more room for movement. That's not only physical, but that's very emotional as well. You know, if you have something emotional going on, when there's more room for truth, when there's more room for you to share and be who you are, you feel a lot more safe, as opposed to if you feel like you can't say anything, or if you feel suffocated in any regards. So we want to do that within our bodies as well, and in our minds. One more deep breath here. And exhale, just slowly release the front of that hip, glide the hips back. And then start to lengthen out this right leg. Hands are going to come down to either sides for half Hanuman, or half split. Now notice in my split, I didn't drop my hips back here. I'm going to continue to keep my front left hip directly over my left knee. I'm going to lengthen out my right leg. My toes are going to point up towards the heavens here. So I'm retaining that 90-degree angle in my bent back leg. And I'm going to continue to draw both of the fronts of my hips forward directly in front of me. What tends to happen is, because this is such a deep opening in the hamstrings, we might glide that right hip out towards the right to kind of run away from the pose a little bit. But we're going to use our breath to breathe into it and feel the stability there as well. So I want you to draw both hips forward. So like they're both two flashing lights. They're both two headlights on a car. One headlight isn't behind the other. They're both in line with one another. And on the inhale, you're going to draw your heart or your chest forward to the front of the room. Imagine you have a string attached to the top of the head, and someone's pulling that string and growing your spine long from left to right. And then on the exhale, as opposed to bending from our cervical spine, from the top of the shoulders and the neck, we're actually going to bend from our low belly. We're just going to drop our low belly down, maybe an inch or two, to really start to feel that hamstring smiling open. I want you to continue to breathe here for 2 rounds of breath. Deep inhale. And deep exhale. One more of those, please. Deep inhale. And exhale. On the inhale, bend that right knee. Circle sweep the hands up and over the head. Exhale, hands come out to the left and the right. Inhale, big bear hug, right arm on top. And then exhale, eagle arms. Now you're going to cross your hands here. For some of us, this isn't going to be as accessible. And if that's you, you can just continue to retain your big bear hug. Once again, same thing working here. One's not better than the other. On the inhale, if you have eagle arms or your big bear hug, continue to draw your eye gaze up. And then on the exhale, humble warrior, modified humble warrior, getting deep into the hips here. Now this is going to be a deep opening on that right hip. Try not to draw that right hip out towards the right. Once again, 2 headlights of the hips facing forward directly in front of us. Use the breath here to find your stability and feel the stability in your feet. Feel that grounding in your feet. Know that you're not going anywhere. Know that you're held here by your own body. And continue to take a breath in. And exhale out. Notice if you're biting down on your jaw, release your mouth. One more breath here. Deep inhale. And exhale. Try not to lean on that right top of the hip, or excuse me, the right quadricep, the right front of the thigh. Try not to lean on it. On the inhale, glides you back up. And then exhale, hands come out and back to the hips. Now your right hand is going to come to your right knee, and you're going to just kickstand that left shin behind you. So now we're kind of in our version of a Captain Morgan's position. Hips are tracing directly in front of us, out towards wherever we are, directly towards the front of the room, towards your camera or towards me now. And that right hand is on your knee. Deep inhale grows the spine nice and tall, and exhale, just glide that knee forward. And as you glide the hips forward, we're opening up the inner thigh, the adductor muscle here now, which tends to get tight once again if there's an imbalance in our root chakra, and that's what we want to open. Exhale draws you back. 2 more of those. Inhale glides you forward. Exhale draws you back. 1 more. Inhale glides you forward. Exhale draws you back. This time on the inhale, you're going to kickstand your left shin back behind you. And then exhale, hands root back into the mat. Pluck the left toe or tuck the left toes. Draw that left knee up. Step that right leg back and draw the hips back for downward facing dog. This time we're going to do the left side. On the inhale, that left heel is going to go high. And then exhale, step it through, low lunge. This time the right knee drops down. And then inhale, circles with the hands up and over. Hands come into fists, but release the index fingers. Draw the index fingers straight up towards the heavens. Deep breath in here. And exhale, hands collapse down to the side body. Whew. Hands come to the hips. Once again, that internal wheel. Basically drawing your groin, your privates, towards your chin. Imagine there's a string attached to the top of your groin. And notice here, once that happens, as opposed to being here and my glutes are sticking back, and my belly is forcing itself forward, I feel that internal wheel. I'm going to draw my groin in towards my chin. Notice what's happening to my sacrum, the top of my low back, my sacrum, is drawing in and down. At the same time, my groin is drawing up towards my chin. And I'm feeling this nice stretch, this time on the front of my right hip. And on the next inhale, I'm going to just glide that hip forward while retaining that same wheel. I'm going to glide my hip forward maybe 2 to 3 inches. Not anything too deep because I don't have to, because I've made that adjustment within my pelvis. I'm going to breathe into this space we're opening on that right hip for 3 breaths. And deep breath in, and deep breath out. Once again, feel the stability here. Both hip points, both of those hip headlights are drawing completely forward. Knee directly over the ankle, as opposed to being behind it or in front of it. Eye gaze forward here, breathing into the stability that your body is creating for you. So allowing yourself to be receptive to it through your breath. On the next breath, moving into Half Hanuman. So lengthening out your left leg, drawing the hands down. Remembering that my right hip is directly over my right knee, as opposed to being back here, which puts a lot of undue pressure on my quads and doesn't really focus on opening up my hamstrings. I'm going to draw my left toes up towards the heavens. Keep both of my hip headlights directly forward. Try not to glide my hip out to the left so I can draw out of the pose, but instead drawing both hips in line with one another. And on the inhale, drawing my heart forward. Exhale, folding not from my shoulders, but from my low belly. Notice how I'm folding from my low belly. Maybe 2 inches. I don't have to go too deep to feel this. My toes, my left toes are still shining up towards the heavens here. So I get an active stretch also in my calf as opposed to just my hamstring. Once again, the whole back of the legs, the calves, the quads, the front of the thighs, the hamstrings, the back of the thighs. They have so much to do with that stability. The knees, these are the points that we use to walk and to connect us to our feet, which root us to the ground. And so the more open, the more expression, the more room that these have, the more we'll be comfortable with finding that stability within our own bodies and be able to embrace that stability. We have more room to flow, more room to move. One more deep inhale, deep breath in, and exhale. On the inhale, bend that left knee and circles with the hands up and over. And then exhale, hands come out to the left and the right. Inhale, big bear hug. This time your left arm on top. And then exhale, eagle arms, or you can stay with a big bear hug if that feels more comfortable for you. On the inhale, take a deep breath in here. And then exhale, fold for your modified humble warrior. Remember, try not to rest your torso on your left leg or your left thigh. I'm going to breathe here for 3 breaths. Try not to poke that left hip out to the left. Hip headlights shining straight forward. And just holding here as you breathe in to that left hip, that left outer glute. You might feel it elsewhere. I'm not in your body, so I can't exactly tell you where you are going to feel it. But wherever you really feel it, if it's sharp and uncomfortable, I want you to come out of it. One more breath here, deep inhale. And deep exhale. And slowly draw yourself up. On the inhale, exhale, hands come out to the left and the right. Hands come to the hips. And then that same movement we did. On the inhale, we're going to kickstand that right shin behind us. Exhale, glide our hips, this time towards the opposite side of the room, depending on where you are. And you can get a back view of what this looks like, coming into our Captain Morgan position here. So our hip points are facing directly forward. This time the left hand on the left knee and the right hand on the right hip. On the inhale, glide that knee forward, glide that hip forward, opening up your inner thighs, your left inner thigh, your left adductor, and the front of the right hip. Exhale, glides you back. Inhale, glides you forward. And exhale, glides you back. One more of those, please. Inhale, glides you forward. Knee comes forward, hips come forward. Exhale, glides you back. On the next inhale, just pivot that right shin behind you. You can rest your hands on something. That left knee comes back into center. Root the hands down on the opposite sides of that left foot. Tuck your right toes. Draw your right knee up. And just step your left leg back and downward facing dog. Deep breath in here. And exhale, float the knees back. Child's pose. Hands are long. Hips come to heels. Inhale, draws you back to tabletop. Exhale, tuck the toes, down dog. Final pose here, or at least one of our final standing poses. On the inhale, that right heel is going to glide up. You're going to step that right foot on the outside of your right hand. And then your left foot is going to come on the outside of your left hand. And you're going to lower your hips as much as you can for Malasana squat. So basically you're in a seated squat here. If this is uncomfortable at all, you can always sit on a block here and fill up the space so you can come into a supported Malasana. I'll go ahead and face you so you can see what this looks like. So in Malasana, it feels more comfortable for me to have a lot of distance in between my feet, and also turning my feet out towards maybe 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock as opposed to 11 and 1. So find what feels good for you here. And this is really our focus point here. This is getting deep into the root chakra, and we just want to take a few breaths here into this area. Use your elbows and basically plug them to the insides of your knees, and use that to draw open your hips comfortably. Draw the hands to heart center here. Once again, you can always sit on a block underneath the hips here if that's more comfortable. And I want you to breathe here for 3 deep breaths. Deep breath in. Exhale, HA. Let some of that heat out of your body by opening up the mouth and releasing it that way. We've already warmed up the hips here and really warmed up that inner, that root chakra, so we're prepared for this pose. Just continue to breathe here. Feel the rooting of your body in the earth here. One more deep breath, deep inhale. Exhale, HA. Root the hands into the mat and glide your hips up. Pivot your toes in. Walking the toes back to center one by one. Now you're in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Tabletop spine, nice long spine here. And exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Relax the head and the neck, no holding. And then when you're ready, slowly squat down. And just come on your bum. Lengthen out your legs. And float down to Shavasana. Resting pose here. Legs are long, hands facing up towards the heavens in a giving receiving notion, palms facing up. Or for root chakra sequences, I really like to bring my hands towards my groin and kind of rest my hands there. If that feels good for you, go ahead and do so. And just start to breathe into this space. Feel the stability of that root chakra. Feel the stability of your groin here. If you'd like, you can bend the knees as well, if that's more comfortable for you, for your low back. For me, that feels like the best option as well. And one more breath here. And when you're ready, roll onto your left or your right side. And slowly glide yourself up. Cross-legged position or on the knees at the top of your mat. You have options as to how you'd like to end. The palms can be facing up towards the heavens in a giving and receiving notion, or you can draw the hands to heart center with a little space in between the palms. We'll close our eyes here, take a deep breath in. And a deep exhale out of the mouth. We'll repeat one time. I've done my best. I leave the rest. Namaste, friends. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this root chakra yoga sequence. We'll have the next chakra sequence coming to you in 2 weeks. So, and that'll be the sacral chakra, which is located right underneath the belly button and above the groin. And we'll be focusing on a sequence for that. I hope to see you guys there. Want a little bit more information about me and my expressive yoga classes? You can visit me at www.yogabybiola.com. You can also follow me on the gram. That's my favorite platform, Instagram. I'm kind of an Instagram junkie. And that's just the @ Yoga by Biola, YOGABYBIOLA. And lastly, follow me on Facebook. My Facebook group I have is Be Liberated, Stay Woke, #. And then also you can follow me on my Facebook page, which is just Yoga by Biola. And all the details for all these new classes and just interesting information is all going to be there. Lastly, actually, this is the real last thing. Join my newsletter on my website at yogabybiola.com. I send out weekly newsletters, which is just really inspiring tips and tricks on how to find more expression in your mind and body. I also I'm going to start sharing my Be Liberated webinar, which is an online webinar, or self-development webinar that you can do at the comfort of your own home, that focuses on liberating your mind from stagnant teachings that no longer serve you. And I'm always sharing that on my newsletters, as well as some other great free options. So you guys can find me there. Remember to be gentle with yourselves, to love on yourselves, be expressive with yourselves, man, and just continue to take your time as you walk through this thing we call life. I will see